The fix is in. The Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Visit fantasyjocks.com, your fantasy sports superstore. Championship belts, rings, trophies, and more.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at the SportsFixCLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, the Sports Fix on social media, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at the SportsFixCLE. Join the Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
This is Greg Pruitt, formerly of the Cleveland Browns, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Welcome in, everybody. Here we go. Launching it, baby. Friday, end of the week edition of the Sports Fix here. And going outside of the box here. I'll talk to you in just a minute. Right off the bat, my man, the sports writer extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight, going to join us here just a couple of minutes from now. We're going to get a little extended conversation. All kinds of things to get into. CyKluber, the Browns. This Dr. Smooth fella showed up last night. Man, a lot of things to get into, man. I'm telling you. JK and I have been texting each other during the week, man. Is it really? Has the worm really turned? I was joking yesterday about the uproar against CyKluber. Like, you know, we've been on the plus side of the ledger for so long over here in Cleveland that people should be mad at us. But anyways, I want to talk about kind of that train of thought right there and all the things going on. Look at the Browns. It's, hey, like the old days, Browns in Houston in a meaningful game in the month of November. Oh, with a truckload of snow coming down. For those of you not in the Northeast Ohio area, brother, it is coming down. And Mike Pettin spent the last how long talking about building an all-purpose team, an all-weather team, brother. That's going to be put to the test here this weekend. And what's funny, though, is listening to Kyle Shanahan talk yesterday, people were asking him about Houston. Like they're all, you know, Southern Houston Texans, and he's like, man, you do realize they come from all over the place, right? Like, how many of those guys are actually from warm weather climates? People act like just because a team is in a certain city that those players, you know, aren't used to it. But it does, that is a little bit of it. I would hope that that's going to play into it against them. However, you know what? Keep in mind, they're going to play the same kind of game that the Browns are going to try to play on Sunday. 1-2 in rushing attempts this season. Those are the two teams right there. So you're definitely going to see a steady dose from both teams, whether it's Foster or Al Blue. And obviously you're going to get a difference in production from Alfred Blue, as much as I may like him because he's on my fantasy football team. It doesn't matter. He's not Arian Foster for a reason, but it's next man up. We'll talk about all of that. Like I said, for the old days, it's Browns in Houston, even though it's not the same Houston that you may be used to, but still, it's meaningful. We're going to talk to Jonathan Knight here in just a moment about that. Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com, as always, he's here on Fridays with the scouting report of this week's opponent. He's got the Houston Texans report. He'll be talking about Hopkins and Johnson and the guys that Mallett is throwing the ball to, and of course, Clowney and Watt and the defense and all of that the Browns are going to have to go through to get that 7th victory of the season here coming up. Jeff Gorman Gorman from Browns101.com with that. Ryan Ruiz from Dog Pound Nation going to be with us here. We're going to talk to him and get, of course, his 3 dog bones, the keys to a Browns victory. What do the Browns have to do to win this game here? We'll get that from Ryan Ruiz. We'll set the stage for the weekend. And we've been telling you all week, not only you got Browns and OSU football, Cavs back on the hardwood tonight. Then it's not the only hoops going on. CSU, OSU going at it. By the way, Charlie Lee suspended for the first 6 games of the Vikings season. I'll talk a little bit about that later on in the show as well. Monsters got a double shot going on with the quick turnaround tomorrow afternoon. There's a ton of things to talk about and get into, so let's do it. Welcome into the Sports Fix, you guys. Let's lock and load. I am your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, Jerry Myers, J-Rock, call me what you will. I'm the Big Daddy on the microphone and the conductor of this madness we call the Sports Fix here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Welcome in those of you listening live on the website, thesportsfix.net, our home base. Bookmark that, by the way, fellas. Absolutely, Bruce. There's so much going on. UFC 180. Jessica, I representing tomorrow night, too. A ton of things going on here this weekend. Welcome in, whether you're listening live on TuneIn and TuneIn's radio app worldwide, on Spreaker and Mixler and their respective mobile applications as well. Everybody listening 24/7 on digital delay on iHeartRadio and iTunes and Stitcher Radio and SoundCloud. Thousands of you who listen both on delay and everybody listening live, welcome in, buckle up. Can't open the phones because Jonathan Knight is already on the hotline. I'm going to open up the phones in hour 2. Don't worry about it. I want to get your thoughts on the Browns this week, on everything going on this weekend, most definitely. So we'll open up the phones in hour 2. For now, you know what to do. Facebook it, tweet it, email it, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix, CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. And I saw real quick, Charles, in the chat room about Jessica's fight being switched from the pay-per-view portion of the event to the Fox Sports 1 feed, which is, to me, even though I know the prestige maybe, as a fighter, probably, oh, man, I was, pay-per-view. But in all reality, that kind of, and I know the differences from my end of things going through that, a wider audience exposed to what you see. So that's kind of the counter to that here. It's not going to really make a difference as far as, pay scale and those type of things that are already locked in. But it actually opens you up to more eyes because you've got tenfold more eyes watching the free version of the fight on television than you will chunking down the cash to order the pay-per-view fight. So you do have a much wider audience. I guess that's the flip side of that if you're Jessica I. So we're going to do all of that, and let's do it with the sports writer extraordinaire, Jonathan Knight. I'm going to the phones, totally a little bit different here, and we're going to go right off the bat to JK on the hotline. Jonathan Knight, how you doing this afternoon?
Jerry, I'm good, and I think it's important we also give a shout-out to everyone listening while they're shoveling snow right now.
Oh, I know. Yeah, we were mentioning that here. It's coming down, brother, and that's cool because, like I said, right before you called in, Mike Pettin's been preaching about all-weather football. It's my favorite kind of football, and so let's see because it has come down here this week for sure, and it's going to be interesting, too, the Buckeyes game, Minnesota. I don't know if you saw, they had chutes set up in the stands so that they can get the snow from the stands down to the field so then the trucks could come and haul the snow off of the field, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on there, too. But, yeah, it's coming down here in Northeast Ohio, my man.
Wow, it seems early. I know it's really not, but it always. I think it always seems early. Really,
it's mid-November.
Anytime it snows before we're playing Christmas music, I feel like it feels early, but technically, I suppose not.
No, I'll tell you what. It was funny. The Lee County captains tweeted out a picture about an hour ago. Ballpark just covered in snow. Said, "Let's play too."
Yeah,
it's cool though.
Yeah,
and of course. Yeah. Timelines are filled up with snow, because nobody knows, wow, it snowed. Wow, yeah, it does. We were just talking about this yesterday, how amazed people would be when they woke up today that it was snowing. But you are right. It does feel early, even though it shouldn't be. That's that global warming or whatever you want to call it, man, messing with the seasons and stuff because you never know when it's going to come. You just know that when it does, a whole lot of it's coming down, and that's what we got right now. But
it's always the time of year where I feel like we need some global warming. God, I mean, scientists may disagree with me, but I'll sign up for some global warming when it's 29 degrees, or I think it's 7. Even down here, it was 17 degrees last night, and 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. That doesn't seem kosher.
I'll tell you, my man. I've got friends that live in Texas, and this is the time of year that their locale definitely makes me a little bit jealous, man. Which is crazy because I talk about being tough and I can take it, but then when it comes, you go, man, I really don't like this. I'm just able to deal with it because I've had it for all my life. But yeah, man. Anyways, so let's talk some stuff, man. But we'll get into the Browns in a minute.
It helps to deal with the snow when you have a winning football team, a first-place football team, and a Cy Young Award winner on your baseball
First place,
team.
Cy Young, Dr. Smooth,
yeah. How about
that.
That?
Both of them. And we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. Not only Corey Kluber overcoming, really the bias in the opposite direction, no matter how mad people got that he won the award after the fact. But then, even then, we were thinking back yesterday, talking about it. Look for a time period where you had a guy finish top 3 in both categories in the same season, because you can't, because you go to the 90s and you don't have any Cy Young candidates. You've literally got to go back to the 40s and 50s probably to find 2 people that would be at least in there, even if they weren't exactly, top 3, but that would be in the discussion in both categories for the Indians over their entire history.
I think you're right. Yeah, because if you think, to Albert Bell's great year in '95 when he basically should have been MVP. If he wasn't an ogre, he would have been the MVP that year. The Indians didn't have a dominant pitcher, so there was no real Cy Young discussions there. So I think that's certainly something to be excited about. My goodness, to have 2 sort of bedrock foundation type of players that you can build on. One is a pitcher and one is an offensive player, and neither are going to be swirling as trade rumors, as trade bait next year, which is always good, which is different than the last 2 times you've had a Cy Young Award winner where he wins the award and think, well, okay, he's probably going to be playing for somebody else by this time next year. So it's a refreshing breath of fresh air to see this develop, and you're right, and Kluber's getting a lot of the attention, and rightly so. But for Michael Brantley to come in third and really have a nice showing and show that he's getting some respect, not just in Cleveland, but around the country, I think that's a great day, a great week for the Indians.
I agree, absolutely. And Corey Kluber, first full season, that's the thing too that I think some people don't realize. We saw him the year before, and even though I will say, hey, I did say in spring training, man, watch out for Corey Kluber. He's going to be the man this year. I didn't say Cy Young Award winner. I said the man. He took the man to another level here this season. But first full season, that's what's kind of amazing about that, too. And I hear people already, because it's Cleveland and the other shoe's got to drop. Oh, the contract. Well, he's going to be traded now. No. While granted, his salary is going to go up because of arbitration, and it's going to go up significantly, he's still under club control, for another 4 or 5 seasons, I believe.
Yeah.
He doesn't hit free agency until he's 32 or something like that. So, the prime years, the Indians control.
Yeah, very unique position. Usually, and not just the Indians, but it seems like this happens a lot in Cleveland, that when someone does receive a national honor or an award or whatever it may be, that sort of shines the spotlight on him and the team, that we just kind of say, well, his days are numbered. Like, the secret's out. He's not ours anymore. Somebody's going to swoop in and take him, and that's not going to be the case. At least not if the Indians have anything to say about it. They would. Both of these guys are going to be with this team for the immediate future. And that is incredibly important.
Corey Kluber wins the Cy Young. Michael Brantley finishes 3rd in the MVP and wins a Silver Slugger. Don't leave that one out of there, too. And good news for Indians fans on the same week that they also hear the news that, and I just wanted to drop this at you, Justin Masterson, the Indians kicking the tires. I knew that was coming around. I'm going to tell you. I could have told you 2 months ago, Justin Masterson is coming back to Cleveland on a spring training deal. I'm telling you now, man. He's going to try to rehab himself with the Indians. But jokingly about that, I did hear something else that I saw people talking about, and I'd love to ask you your thoughts. I know what it is. Go ahead. Wait, maybe you do. Ubaldo Jimenez.
Yeah.
Where you thought I was going? Okay. I'm just curious. Would you, or any of you listening, would you trade Nick Swisher for Ubaldo Jimenez, because that's kind of the rumblings that I'm hearing, is that the Indians are hoping, hey, maybe we'll take Ubaldo off your hands if you take one of our albatross contracts off of our hands. And I'm just saying, if